wants to race through the skies to get what I want, to reach what I need. Part of my soul wants to race through the skies to get what I want, to reach what I need. On the top of the mountain, my troubles so small, I reach so high to embrace it all. On the top of the mountain, my troubles so small, I reach so high to embrace it all. Embrace it all.
Om Shanti, everyone. Om Shanti and good evening. Welcome, everyone. A very, very warm welcome. This evening, we have with us Sister Kim. She is a clinical psychologist and a leukemia survivor. In fact, I would say she's a fighter. 9 years back, when she realized that she had leukemia, she started to look for answers within herself. And that brought her to Brahma Kumaris and Raj Yoga meditation. And she has been studying and practicing Raj Yoga meditation for 7 to 8 years and has handled her treatments and her recovery with a lot of grace and a lot of love. And today she is speaking on the subject of greatest gift is being in the present, being in the now. And we couldn't have anybody else other than Sister Kim to share her insights on this subject. So now we'll hear from her, and later we have question answers also. So if you have any questions, you can write in the chat, or after she's done speaking, then we can open up to everyone. Thank you and welcome, Sister Kim.
Thank you. Let's start off with a meditation to just quiet our mind. Can everyone hear me okay? Okay. So we'll just sit for a moment in silence. And taking a moment to just turn within. I just let go of my day. And I'm just present in the moment with myself, my inner self. I don't have to do anything but just be who I am. There's no show, there's no glitz. I just am completely myself in the moment. I may be aware of my thoughts, but I don't attach myself to my thoughts. I just let them float by, and I don't even analyze my thoughts. I just let them be. And when I can just be in the moment, I can experience an inner peace. An inner peace where there is only quiet and when I sit in this sacred space inside of me, and my mind becomes quiet, then I become aware of just being in the present, accepting myself as I am, who I am right now, detaching from my story of the past and just being in the story of being a spirit of light, simply a point of light like a star radiating peace, radiating love. And when I feel this peace, I feel happy. I feel content. And I easily think about not only being a soul, but that there is a higher power that I can easily connect to. And I can get re-energized with more peace, more love, more joy. Because this higher being who I am connected to is completely accepting and completely in the moment. He is beyond this material world. And so he doesn't get distracted by any of my thoughts. He is totally plugged in. And so I need to open my heart and receive and draw in the energy that he so eagerly wants to give me. And when I do this, I feel more happy and more full and more aware. of my true story of being a spiritual being on a journey, playing my own unique part and not worried about any distractions that try to take me away. I can pull myself back any place and any time. Om Shanti.
Thank you, Kim sister. That was wonderful. Thank you.
If you'd like to turn on your cameras, you can. If you're not comfortable, then you can keep them off. But sometimes it's nice if we look into each other's eyes or see our face, see a smile, because the eyes are the window to the soul. So just offering that. I think I'd like to start with Raja Yoga. And I think that what draws me to the practice of Raja Yoga is becoming not only present in my life, knowing myself better, but also becoming more aware of who I really am underneath the layers of who I thought I was before. And I'm still discovering so many things through meditation, because meditation will get down below the consciousness of the upper layer that we show to the world. And underneath that is our subconscious. And we're not sometimes aware that there's some maybe hurts or hang-ups or something from the past that is keeping us from being so present in the moment, in the now. And it tries to take us back. It is like an energy that tries to take us out of who we are. And so to be aware and to be plugged in and take that power from the Supreme Source in the early mornings when everything is quiet and peaceful and the energy is peaceful, there's not a lot of distractions, people aren't up, and it's very quiet and still, and it's easy to go into that, what we call soul consciousness, when the atmosphere is lighter. There's not all the distractions to pull us away. And sometimes some things might start to bubble up that I don't remember. Something that feels like that's not a very pleasant memory. But I know that I need to just let it come up, and I just open my heart to God, because I know God is like, it's okay, just let it come up and I'll take care of it and just give it to me. And if I bring it up, then I feel lighter after my meditation. And I might feel a little uncomfortable for like a day or two, but I know that this is part of the process of getting rid of the wounds, to getting rid of the maybe some things that I didn't do in my past that were so pleasant. And to get to that place where I'm free and I feel totally okay with myself. I have to allow these little, what we call impurities or defects, come out so that all that good stuff can just come rushing in, and I just forget all the other. It just kind of goes away. And so these are the things that I've learned in Raj Yoga that will help me become more present in my life and more at ease, more true to myself, more aware, and more plugged in, more available to not only myself, but other people. And the teachings of Raja Yoga tell me that not only do I have to take this in and tolerate any unpleasant feelings that might come up, that there will be a big payoff for that, if not in the near future, then further down the line. And to trust God, to let go and let God work in my life, and to know that there is a higher power working with me if I stay connected. And he works like he may not be physically here, but through my thoughts, I can reach him. Just like if I call somebody on the phone, it's an instant connection. If I call the right number, if I think of somebody in another state or another country, then maybe they'll feel that and they'll call me and they'll say, you know, I was thinking of you. And I'll say, well, that was funny because I was thinking of you also. And so our thoughts are very powerful. So part of the knowledge of Raja Yoga teaches me to be aware of my thoughts and to stay very focused. And that doesn't mean I have to analyze every thought, but I need to do a check-in every once in a while. If I find myself just kind of feeling a little distracted, or maybe getting into some old thinking patterns, then it's up to me. It's my responsibility to look within and get myself back on track. And that's really not a difficult thing to do at all. It just takes repeated practice of paying attention, being aware of what my thoughts are, and changing them, or just say, stop, we're not going there. We're not going to think about that. We're here. We're here, and you're a soul, and you're peaceful, you're a loving soul, and you're powerful, and you're studying this new knowledge, and you're becoming more aware, and you're using new skills, and the skills teach you that you need to be focused and you need to be available for not only yourself, but for others. So I have to learn to think about other needs, but to have a balance. And so we do yoga early in the morning, but we also do a study. We do a spiritual study that feeds our soul. It feeds our mind with good thoughts. So it makes us have more elevated thoughts about who we are, what path do we want to be on, how do we want to serve others, what is a good balance in life, what do I do about past regrets, how do I deal with disappointments, how do I overcome obstacles that come in my life. And the good thing about Raj Yoga is we don't have to go sit in the forest by ourselves. We can be sitting anywhere. We can be walking. we can be washing dishes, we can be cooking. And we can think about the points of spiritual knowledge. And we can think about them on a deeper level when we take the time to just reflect on what the deeper meaning is. What is God trying to teach me? What is He trying to really get me to look at? Because He's trying to help me. He's trying to help me to help myself. And so in Raja Yoga, we become more skilled in action. We become more tolerant and accepting of our feelings. And if we make a mistake, we say, okay, if you're a spiritual warrior, if you're doing a worldly job, you learn the most from your mistakes. And when you do, it makes you a little bit more humble. It makes you look at things a little bit more deeply. And so this is a school. It's a godly school. And you can say that we're in training, that we're in class, and God is our teacher. And we become more skilled on a daily basis if we do the things that are suggested. And there's 4 subjects, and they keep us more present and more true to ourselves. And the 4 subjects are knowledge. And so we take a couple of thoughts into meditation early in the morning. And it can be something as simple as God tells me that I am on a journey and that I'm here to learn in the classroom of life, and that I'm an actor on the stage of life, and that I've come into this body to express myself and to learn and to help others be on their journey. And He gives everyone the same tools. And He says, it's up to you how you want to use these tools and how you want to progress in your own life. That is your own karma. And so He makes me look at myself, and He says, I'm your companion on this path, on this journey, and I will be with you. When you stay connected, I will be there. It's a promise. And I will help you along when you stumble or you need help. And so I was talking to God earlier, and I was telling Him, God, I've done meditations on Zoom, and I've done them in person, and I've shared my personal story a few times. But to share about being present and being in the moment, I'm honestly not always there. So I need your help on what you want me to share. And then I started learning that the more I was writing and churning on what I was going to say tonight, it was pulling me into the moment, and it was making me more aware of where I am on this path and what I get distracted by and where I get pulled. And so it made me more aware of what is going on with me and where I was before and where I am now and what my goals are to be in the future, which is just stay on the path, don't get off the path, and everything will take care of itself. And so that was kind of nice. And I realized that hopefully I will say something that will touch you. Hopefully I will say something that resonates with you. But it also made me become more aware of where I am in the moment and how soul conscious am I during the day. Because when I go into body consciousness, I get into a lot of waste thoughts and I start wasting my time by daydreaming or getting distracted by this and that. Or I get negative thoughts like, why did she say that? And when I get myself in that mode, then I don't feel so good inside. And then I know that I need to do some inner cleaning. And one of the things about Raj Yoga is we have a symbol or an image, I think an image would be more appropriate, of the deity Lakshmi. And what I really like about this is that there is just complete balance. And it's a living being in the world, but not of the world. And so you're loosely going through the world and you come upon some obstacles, but you don't let them overcome you. And when you find yourself getting into some fear or anxiety and you feel like it's going to overtake you, you get into the moment and you get refocused and pay attention. And you tell yourself that I am a being of light and I'm on a journey. And my journey is very important time because this is it. This is all I have. And that whatever arrows come at me, whether it's financial or it's an illness or it's something that happens to a family member, the other arrow is to use the skills to pay attention, to get back on the path, to stay on the path, and to keep myself going up, and to know that God is my companion and He will never leave me. And this gives me a lot of hope and it gives me a lot of focus. And I can let go of the story that says, I'm not good enough, I may not make it, what if I slip and fall? No, that's the old story. And so I stay on the story of going up slowly and gradually, making some curves and some turns. Maybe I slip and pick myself back up, but knowing that my companion is God and I can't depend on anyone else. I am in relationships with people. I love people. I'm there with people. I'm very available for people, for my animals, for my dogs, my cat. I do my responsibilities and I'm available for myself first and all, because if I can't be there for myself, I can't give to anyone else. I can't give what I don't have. If I'm empty, then I don't have anything to give. But what I do is I find a balance, and when I get off balance, I need to check in with myself and make sure that I'm taking care of me. And that may sound selfish, but I'm just going to share briefly that when I got leukemia 9 years ago, I immediately was catapulted into a whole different world of being in the hospital, being in a bed. I was very active before that. And now I'm living in isolation and I'm receiving chemo and I'm going into a really physically different kind of situation. And what I discovered was I felt so like not just physically tired, but I realized that, oh my gosh, it feels like you're off the hamster wheel. Like I was so tired emotionally. Like I had gone through, it seems like I had recreated my life every 10 years. I had been divorced more than once. My adult children had been a challenge. Not my adult children, my children as teens had been quite a challenge, like really a challenge. And not now, but at that point. And I was in graduate school and I was broke. You know, you tend to be broke when you have to go to graduate school for 5 years. Single parent, I was stressed to the max, but I didn't really realize because I'm just plugging through. And not to go back too much into the story, but what I realized is that it felt so good, even though I had this illness and I didn't even know if I would live. It felt so good to just be alone and sometimes just be in this space and not have anything to attend to. No bills, no responsibilities, no, just taking care of me and being taken care of by nurses and doctors. And that sounds kind of weird, but what I realized is that I needed to take better care of myself. And I also had a great experience not being in the practice of meditation yet. I mean, I knew about meditation and I had done it a few times, nothing serious. But I had a near-death experience because they introduced you have to get your port changed every 7 days. And they stuck me 8 times and I was totally neutropenic, which means I have no immune system, none. And because they take you down to ground zero because all my cells were not, they were full of cancer. My blood was full of cancer. So anyway, they're killing the cancer in my blood, but they kill all my healthy cells too. So I had no immunity. And they kept sticking me. And I said, please don't stick me one more time. You have to stop and let the doctor do it in the morning. But what happened was I went into septic shock the next day and I had an out-of-body experience. And so I really do have the experience of detaching from my body, being outside of my body, looking at the body, and the soul was thinking and looking at the body. I was like across the room. I'm looking at the body in the bed, and I'm saying to myself, oh, the body is dying. I need help. And so it taught me that the soul is in charge. The soul is very aware of what is going on in the moment. And the soul can discern and make decisions that will put us back on the right path. And what I did is I made a call in that moment. I don't know how I did it because I was very ill. I'm back in my body and I'm calling my husband to come to the hospital and help me. And so when I took the first class in Raj Yoga and I found out about I'm the soul, I'm not this body, I have a body, And I use the body. The body is very valuable and very wonderful piece of machinery, and periodically it has to be repaired as we get older. But to not be too caught up in the identity of all the labels that go with the body, like you're this age, you're this gender, you're somebody's wife, you're a mother, you're you have a PhD. What does that all mean, really, right? Because that's not really who we are. And we're each unique. We each have our own journey. Every soul is a being of light and comes from God. Every soul will return to God. This is all true, but every soul is unique and has had its own experiences, its own families, its own culture, its own likes and dislikes, and conditioning. And so what has helped me in Raja Yoga to stay more present, to be loving myself a little more gradually, loving myself, taking care of myself, paying attention, changing myself, changing my thoughts, is that a lot of who I thought I was is not really me. And I know that may sound weird, but I was a big meat eater before I became a BK, a Raja Yoga practitioner. I was a big meat eater because I was raised in Texas. And in Texas, there's ranches everywhere, and this is a big deal. And it's just barbecue is everywhere, and that's what I was raised on. And now that I'm not a meat eater, I don't really like it because now I think about the animals. I never thought about that before, that they suffered, or that it's not so great for my gastrointestinal system, and that the body really wasn't designed to eat meat. That's just through my own research. And I think now they're proving that plant-based is more healthy. But I'm just giving an example that there's some things in my life that have been so, what we call impressions. We've done them so many times. We have the thoughts, we then have the feelings, and we're not totally awakened, and we just act on it because we've acted on it so many times before. It becomes a habit. And so that was a habit, and I thought nothing about it. And being religious was a big deal in my family. But I always was seeking God. I was like, I just want to know you. I don't think this is the whole answer. When they tell me things, it makes me afraid because I know I haven't always done the right things. I know right from wrong, and sometimes I made the wrong choices. I chose to do that. And so now what am I going to do? They're telling me that I might go to hell, or they're telling me that I've committed all these sins. I'm a sinner. And they tell me that you're going to punish me when I die. And so all this was like, I was afraid of God. I really was afraid. I thought he was this, I don't know what I thought. He was up there and I was going to die, and I was going to go to him and he was going to sit me down and say, look. And so I wanted to find that loving God that I really hoped was there for me. And that's what Raja Yoga has really done for me, is taken away that fear. And I will just add on to that story about that near-death experience. It didn't get any better from there. It got worse. And so by 9 o'clock that night, I was starting to fade. My fever was 105. Now my mother is crying at my bedside. And now the critical care team is in my room with the crash cart. And I think my eyes are open, but I'm kind of in and out. I'm really sick. And I'm thinking, oh, that's not good. So they took me to ICU, and my veins had started to collapse. I started throwing up, and I'd been in septic shock for several hours by now. And then I could hear the beeping. It was like not good. And then the doctor looked so scared. He couldn't get the line into my heart to pump the fluids in to get my blood pressure up. And my blood pressure was falling. And I just thought, God, I'm just going to fall into your arms. I'm just going to come to you. I'm so tired. And if I can't beat this cancer, I don't want to do it anymore. Everybody's so stressed out. My mother's so scared. My husband is scared. My children are scared. Just think I can go to sleep now. And I woke up the next morning and there I was. And so I was like, okay, it's not my time. So battle on and fight through. And so anyway, it's just, no matter what happens, I have to face what's going on in the present. This is what life has taught me. This is what cancer taught me, is to be present, because you never know what's around the corner. And not to scare you, but it could be a family member. Since then, what helps me be present is I lost my younger brother. He was 55, diagnosed with pancreatic cancer and dead within 10 days because he was in the 4th stage and they had misdiagnosed it for a year. It's called the silent killer. And so you don't really know you have it until a lot of times the 4th stage. And that was very traumatic for me because we found him dead in his room. And I think that I lost my faith at that point. I lost my practice and I got angry. And I wasn't angry at him and I wasn't angry at God, but I was angry at my parents. And so what happened was I fell off my practice and I went back into my old ways. And part of our practice is, and I don't know if you're not in the practice, but part of our practice is to remain pure, even though we live in a family. And I never lost that. I never veered off that path, but my thinking it started to change, and I started getting angry and I started lashing out and getting controlling around the house. And so what happened was I did that for a few months, and then I went over to my teacher's house in Raj Yoga, and she asked me, do you want to come back? And I said, oh my gosh, yes, I want to come back. And I said, I want to find my moment again. I want to be true to myself again. I want to be the person that I know I can be. I want to treat myself well, and I want to stop being angry, and I want to just be at peace. And what happened was, it's like I just was so plugged in with God, like he never left me. He wasn't mad at me. He wasn't punishing me. He just said to me, welcome back, child. And I felt so plugged in. I always did my yogas. It's not that I let go of that, my meditation, or let go of God, but I couldn't quite feel God. I couldn't make that strong connection that I had. And getting back into the practice of Raj Yoga was just right there again. And I was so relieved. And I just never felt that he was mad at me. I felt like he was saying, this is your journey and this is what you needed to do. And I realized I needed to really get underneath the study, to really, I always was a good student, but I don't think I quite understood the teachings. And so I started getting into the depth of it and then taking that into meditation and practicing more what I was learning, putting it more into practice, experimenting with it, really taking that into service, that awareness of who I am, that I don't have to be on the stage. I don't have to be the best actor on the stage. I don't have to be up front. I can be making a chapati or something. I mean, I can be moving furniture. I don't have to be front and center. And if anything, I probably didn't need to be front and center because maybe I had a little bit more ego that it had to be like kind of taken down a little bit, because I would go from not feeling good enough to feeling maybe I'm a little like smarter than you or something, I don't know. Not even that. It was like sometimes someone would come, I knew they didn't like me, and that really bothered me because I was looking for others' approval. I think that's really what it was. And I had to come to grips that God's teaching me that the only approval that you need to seek is from me. And I approve of you wholeheartedly. I love you. If you fell off the path tomorrow, I would still love you. It's your choice. You have free will. And being a mother, let me see what the time is. I'm sorry. Being the mother of 2 adult men, I feel like God is like I feel toward my boys. They made so many mistakes, yet I don't see them as that person. I don't go into the past. They didn't do it to me. They did it to themselves. And so I've had a lovely life, honestly. I've had an exciting life. I've never been afraid of adventure. I had kind of a dad that was like, he taught me to stand up for myself, but sometimes that was a little bit too strong. And I could be a little bit too out with what I felt, and sometimes it hurt people's feelings. So I had to learn to assertive is not to hurt other people's feelings. You don't really have to be so blunt, and you have to maybe just be silent, like restrain your tongue sometimes. You don't have to say everything that's on your mind. And that's something that I've learned by being in the present. Everything that comes into my mind, I don't have to blurt out. And sometimes I talk too much. That's another thing I've noticed. And then, is what I'm saying really pertinent for this moment? Is it really helping me, or is it really helping the other person? Is it meaningful? Or am I just talking to talk? And so, because it isn't that what we do out there, or what we're used to doing. People gossip, they talk about this, they talk about that, they chit chat all the time. But I'm trying to be more aware of what I'm saying and how I'm saying it. And I just think that God wants me to be more in touch with the present and to not be afraid of life, and to know that I am valuable and that I'm special to Him. And that when I feel that and I'm in touch with that within my soul, then he can use me. And there's nothing that God can't do. I mean, he's God, but he smiles when we're good to somebody else. He smiles, not that he's physical, but I'm just giving you like a metaphor, that he says, you know, good job, because it changes me. And when it changes me, he's my parent and he's like, you know, thumbs up. And I think that that's pretty cool, because what God teaches is that he loves every soul. He loves the whole family of souls all over the world, even the people that are doing bad behaviors, because he knows the whole journey. And he knows that eventually they'll come home to him and they'll be that completely pure, loving, peaceful being of light. And so I may not be able to see that in them, but he does. And he says, so when you talk to another person, you need to tap into that. Even if they don't like you, you stay with that you're talking to a soul, and that soul has their own perception, their own journey that has nothing to do with you. So you don't have to personalize it. That's not what you're about. You just need to be detached, be loving, have pure feelings and goodwill for another human being. That's it. And you don't have to accept any abuse. You don't have to accept any. He just teaches me how to do the game of life. And when I do the game of life accurately, I am peaceful. I am loving. I am empowered. I don't give away my power. I stay balanced. And I'm pretty happy with who I am in the moment. But it's a long journey. I'm not going to lie. It's step by step, and sometimes I slip and fall. And that's another thing, to stay in the moment and to stay present. At night, I need to review. I just need to ask myself, is there something you could have done better, so that I can learn to do it the next time? And is there anything on your mind that's bothering you, that you're holding on to? Because at 3:30 in the morning, I'm up and I have this routine of going downstairs and sitting, and I have a meeting with my higher power, and I want it to be good and I want it to be beneficial. So I need my mind to be clear of any rubbish. And so that's how I stay present in the moment. And of course, it's a process, and I'm not there. I'm still in progress in works, I guess you would say. But I hope that you could resonate with something I said, and I hope something I said was helpful. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. I think your meeting with God today, before you came for this meeting, and asking him and having that conversation that, let me know what I need to speak, that must have really gone well, because whatever you spoke, it was so heartfelt, and it was such a beautiful experience which you shared, and I took so many points from that. And just your vulnerability and just being so open about how your journey was, and how you always constantly are dancing that dance of being in the present, was really inspiring. So thank you so much. In fact, I wrote down some points. I was like, if I have to summarize, it's like, watch your thoughts. You pay a lot of attention to what you're thinking, so watch your thoughts. And then when you said, you feel that you talk too much, and I feel the same, that I also talk too much. So it's nice, to first think before, you're talking, and seeing whether it's relevant, whether I need to share this, is it going to make a difference, can I just be quiet and see what happens. Because then you go into this another spin, so, and you don't observe what is happening around you. And so I like that, just like talking less and paying more attention. And then when you said, the another key thing, what you said was that do not personalize people's reaction towards you, because they are on their own journey. They have their own story going on. So whatever reaction you get, because that's where we waste our time, right? When we hear people react, or when people react to us, and we go into that spin, what did I say, what did he say, and we go in our past, and again we forget to be in the present. So just not to personalize the reaction of them. And then what came out so beautiful is your relation with God, the way you talk to him, the way you have your own way of listening to him. So just was very beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. I'm going to open it up. If anybody has any questions, any comments, if you can put your camera on for a second. If not, then you can also give us some reaction that, that you liked it. There's a thumbs up reaction, a smiley reaction, anything would do. I'm going to give some few seconds to see. Claudia, BK Jawahar, Valerie, and someone with student. I love that name. Anything you would like to comment or share or say?
Om Shanti.
Om
I
Shanti.
just wanted to say how you did speak from the heart, and it came across like that. So it's very real what you're experiencing, and I got that it was real, and it was very personal, and it was so it makes it authentic what you were saying, and one learns from that kind of honesty, that kind of response that you were sharing. So thank you, Baba, and thank you, Sister Kim. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, your honesty and just being so vulnerable and sharing your story. That was really nice. I was just thinking, oh, we have a message from student, and I'm just going to read it out. They said, I am glad to hear the second class from you, from Sister Kim. Oh, it's Mary. Okay, thanks by now. Yeah, so I was just wondering, when you started this journey, and when you said that you watched your thoughts, and then you talk to yourself, sometimes when we sit and when we do meditation, like when I initially came into meditation, my impression was that while I'm sitting in meditation, or when I do my meditation, I should feel happy, I should feel really peaceful. But I realized when I when I started doing it, it was a battle, because when I sat, so many things came up, things which I did not even know, um, things from my childhood which I had absolutely no idea. All of those memories came up, and of course, at least to say they weren't pleasant. And then not running away from it and saying, okay, I need to now deal with it in the present, and not going in the blame game, or, why this, or feeling like a victim. Then how do you, when you start this meditation process, how do you, when all these memories and emotions come up, then how do you try to stay in the present?
What happened for me is that I wasn't sure if I was doing it right, because people kept saying, well, meditation is, oh, Baba's so sweet, and it's such a sweet, and I felt so good. And I thought, and I do most of the time, but then there would come these times where I was pretty messed up. and I'd have to do service and I'd be like, I just was kind of like, oh, I don't feel so good. And India was really like, it was like 100 dose of, I did some really intense tapasya, took advantage of the atmosphere, but then I got pretty messed up, because it hit on some things that I really wasn't aware of. And I didn't quite understand that this is the purification process. And what happened was I asked Sister Denise in a class, and I did the chat, and I said, is this right? And she said, absolutely, that is good yoga. And she said, the key is that you have to tolerate. Use the power to tolerate and just sit with it and know that it will pass and that it's going to bubble up and then it'll go. It'll be over, but just tolerate the uncomfortableness and know that good yoga is not all about just sitting here in sweetness and calm and, just having a pleasant experience. No, you're purifying. God is the purifier. He's come to purify you. And when you make that connection, he knows each child, and he knows what needs to be purified. And so some things will have to come up, and I tell God, okay, I'm an open flower. You tell me I'm a spiritual warrior. Okay. Sometimes I don't believe it, but you say it. So you're the Almighty. And you say that you've got my back. You're my companion. Okay. And here we go, and so that's kind of how I have to do it. And then after it's over, I feel so much more light. And I feel happy and I feel nicer. And it's like, wow, it works. Okay, we can do that again. When it comes, I can do it again because I know the benefit. I don't know if that makes sense, but
No, it does totally. Because so it's not that your meditation is wrong. It's not that you're not following the process properly. In fact, that is, as you said, it's purification. All those things are coming up to the surface, and they just want to be, they come up the surface, and you do not react to it. You do not hold on to it. You do not associate yourself with that and say, oh, so that's me. And I'm that bad, or I did this, and all of that. Do not attach any feelings. Do not attach yourselves to those feelings, but just watch them as they come and then let go of them. Because when you don't give them that power, then they are not going to be that heavy on you. And then they'll have a way to just leave you and go, right? That's what I think.
because those are the layers, like they say, peeling the onion. Well, I have to take off another layer so that I can let the good stuff come up. It's like letting the flower bloom into its full essence. And so I have to just face myself and say, okay, I'm not attached to that story. Let it go, And so, and sometimes I have to remember something that I've forgotten, or that was in my memory track from this life that I had buried. And it's not always pleasant. But if I don't attach to it, then I can let it go. It's when I get attached and start putting shame, guilt, I'm finished.
Right.
So,
Yes, that is very interesting. That's really beautiful. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. So the key is just to have faith and keep practicing, keep doing it. And then the relation, what you have with God, just having that really strong relation. And you said, if he's saying that, he knows it. So just go with it. There are days when you won't feel it, but then just remember, if he's saying that to me, that means he knows, right? And that keeps you going. Yeah, very
yeah. Then I feel he's just holding me like a baby. And he's saying, it's okay. It's okay. I'm not like you thought I was in religion. I'm not. And then I know I get to know him better. He gets to know me because I allow him to. I allow that connection to happen. And then I open myself up. Well, now this allows me to be more honest with you. You're talking about being authentic, being honest, being in the moment. This is how I get there.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you know he's not going to judge you, there's nothing of that. And you mentioned like the relation what you have with your adult kids, or while they were growing up in teenage phase also, when you know any teenager, it's a tough time, but at that time also the love which you had for them, you carried that. So the same way God is also always going to hold that love for you no matter what. Yeah, very beautiful. Thank you. Does anyone have any question? Did anything spark? Anything come up for you from your own experience? I think your story and your examples have made them very satisfied. You know, because when you were talking about how he keeps, I'm his child and I'm in his lap, and you know, the flower, I could just visualize all of that. So just very beautiful. We,
I just want to add one thing, because what I've come to realize is that the conditioning is what's in our subconscious. We're not really aware that we're keeping ourselves back. We are keeping ourselves back. And it's because maybe something was told in your family that we keep everything in here. You know, we don't share our dirty laundry out there. We look good. We, you know, we don't do that. So, but when I am honest with myself and I know the truth of who I am, and I don't have to, you know, secrets make you sick.
mm,
And to heal, I have to give those to God. I have to, because He is the healer,
mm,
the psychologist, not me. He knows me in and out. And there's nothing I can hide from Him.
right.
And one day I will have to leave this body, and I want to try and go as clean as possible, you know, because
Right.
sooner or later I'll have to, you know,
Yeah.
go home.
Yeah. Yeah. It's same like the relation with the child. When the child wants, when you have an open relation, the child wants to tell you everything. And when they tell you, then you can literally see the pressure which they have built just go away because they have come home and told their parent about it. And they feel now there's someone to help me, even if they have made a mistake. But when they come and say it, the pressure which they've been carrying the entire time just lifts away because now they know they have shared it with someone, someone whom they trust, and things will be okay and they will be okay. So yeah.
And the other experience that I had that God gave me, which is so beautiful, is that there was so much trauma around my brother's death with my parents and everything, because it was so fast and unexpected, and the way we found him. That God in my 4 a.m. meditation actually gave me, just about this fast, gave me an experience of like a subtle image of my brother. It was my brother, but it wasn't my brother. If that makes sense. His softness, his peace, his smile, his love, it totally just, oh, I was in bliss, because he had never been a happy person. You know, he just was a very depressed, sad brother that I never could help, you know. And that just gave me such peace, you know, that you're happy now. Wherever you are, you're at peace.
Nice.
So
So
that
then,
was,
yeah, so any other image of him just, oh, just vanish, and this now, this when you have to remember, you remember that peaceful, that loving image of him because you know he's in his company, like
and
it's
then if my brother, yeah, and if my mother brings it back to that night when we found him and the trauma, I tell her, Mom, let's not go back to that story. Let's remember him. He's not suffering. He's a beautiful person. He's on a new path. Let's remember this. Let's not go back to that story that makes us feel so much sorrow. And then she'll pull out.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't go anywhere. It just goes into her wanting to cry. And, you know, it
Yeah.
just, it's not that we can't have our feelings and grieve, but not 5 years later. We need to, you know.
Yes. And not with that intensity. Yes, it takes time, but not with that intensity. Slowly, slowly, it will, the healing should start within. Yes, definitely. Your experiences and your journey and how much you have learned from that is so remarkable, and just your sharing. So thank you so much, Sister Kim. I was wondering if you could just spend another few minutes and just take us through a quick meditation so that we can have a nice closure, the way you talk to God before you sleep, maybe of that kind, so that you sleep with a clean sheet and then start your day in the morning with a good meeting with Him. So if you can take us through a meditation, that would be nice. Thank you.
Om Shanti. Well, God, I asked for help and you've given it to me as you promised. And I have to tell you that I was afraid. But now I know that I faced my fear and I've used the power to face, the power to tolerate, and the power to be present in my own life. And I hope that someone else has been touched by your message that's come through me this evening. And for the other souls that are here, that are present, I send you good wishes and pure feelings and hopes for a happy holiday season. And I also send out goodwill to all the souls, to nature, and to all the animals in the animal kingdom for some kind of comfort, some kind of peace that they can tap into. And that we are all part of God's big worldly family all over the world. Om Shanti.